What's up, MMA fans? Back to do Viewers Picks Volume 3. I'd like to thank everybody for participating. We got some great names from a lot of different viewers here on YouTube. You know, following a fighter, an up-and-comer, really opens your eyes up to different organizations, different fighters. You know, an example for me is mannypacquiaO. I seen him fight a few years back, and it really opened my eyes up to Polish MMA. I didn't realize how big the sport is in Poland, how many great fighters there are in Poland, and you know, some of the different shows that are put on there. You know, everybody watches the UFC, the WEC, Sengoku, Dream, Bellator, Strikeforce, but there's many other great organizations. Ring of Combat, Maximum Fighting Championships, M1, King of the Cage has recently made a comeback. They're putting on some good cards. Jungle Fight in Brazil, KSW in Poland, Ultimate Challenge MMA. It's kind of the new cage rage. You know, Shudo, Deep, and so on. I could go on for an hour and name some organizations. A little history on myself. I mean, this is kind of I guess in a sense, it's a viewers shout out to the viewers and people who participated in the prospect videos. So a little history on myself. Probably most of you don't know much about me. I've been watching and been involved also in combat sports since I was 5 or 6 years old. You know, boxing was first. You know, I can remember the days of Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Hagler. You know, I remember Prime, Evander Holyfield, the George Foreman comeback, of course. I guess my first MMA event I seen live would have been UFC 4. A few of my friends and I got together and rented the pay-per-view. We had seen UFC 1 to 3 on VHS tape, so that's what prompted us to rent the pay-per-view. But if you look at my YouTube name, MMA Originals 1990, that 1990 stands for the first martial arts event that I seen. Was actually, I seen 4 events prior to the UFC existing. Was Shudo events. 1990, the first fight I seen was Yushi Watanabe submitting Kazuhiro Sakimoto via knee bar. You know, when I seen this, I was wondering, you know, what the hell am I watching? Is this some kind of hybrid wrestling? Or I guess it was in a sense, but you know, it was definitely not as fierce as the original UFCs. But you know, they had time limits and rounds and whatnot. But nonetheless, that's a little bit of history of myself. I'm 30 now, so that's 20 years of watching mixed martial arts, and it's amazing to see how the sport is grown over the last 20 years. You know, it's only going to get better. So, without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to try to do this video a little different. Probably be done 2, maybe 3 videos to make it fit. I'll mention, put some pictures up of the key names and do some bio on them, and I'll put a short list up for the rest of the names. There's just too many names for me to go in a deep explanation for each fighter, so we'll try to speed it up so we can make it fit in a few videos. First viewer was Harnish Incorporated. He's a 33-year-old Canadian. Doesn't make videos, but check out his webpage. He does seem to have some knowledge on MMA. He's an East Coast Canadian like myself, so he based most of his fighter picks on local talent around the Halifax area. First fighter I'm going to talk about is Roger Hollett. 10 wins, 3 losses, 3 knockouts, 7 submissions. 5'10", 205 pounds. Fighting out of Halifax. Trains out of Titans MMA. He started his career at 7-0. Once a highly coveted up-and-comer, he came on at tough times in recent years after a loss and a serious knee injury put a bump in his career. Recent 2-fight win streak over Aaron Lofton and Chris Peak, and I guess the biggest win of his career would have been over Victor Valimaki. I got to see this guy fight live at MFC 19 against Emmanuel Newton, and I believe he's still under contract with the MFC, so stay tuned to their cards to catch some of his upcoming fights. You know, the Hollett family around Halifax actually has quite the background for combat sports. Roger's father was actually a pretty good boxer in his own right. Next fighter you mentioned was Ryan Gimo, 12 wins, 1 loss, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions, 6'2", 205 pounds, also fighting in Halifax. Hayabusa Team Yoke is the name of the club he trains out of. Jimo, I think he has a karate background and actually was a contestant on, I think it was the Ultimate Fighter Season 8, losing in the first preliminary round against, I think, Antoine Britt, which kept him from moving on to the house and staying on the show, of course. He defeated Emmanuel Newton, Marvin Eastman, Rick Rufus, Jesse Forbes. He's got a big fight coming up on the next MFC card, which I believe is MFC 25 on May 7th against Wilson Govea. Should be an interesting fight and a big step up in competition for Jimo, so check it out. Next fighter you mentioned was Ricky Goodall. 4 wins, 1 loss, 1 knockout, 1 submission. Also trains out of Team Titan next to Roger Hollett. And some quick names he mentioned, Josh Strickland, TANNAYA, HANTELMAN, and Tim Skidmore. So thanks for the names, Harnish Incorporated. Look forward to hearing some more names on you for a future viewers video. Next guy on YouTube is Dan Graves, 3031. 21-year-old American. Doesn't make MMA videos, but has some cool stuff on his webpage or his YouTube page, so check him out, subscribe. One fighter you mentioned is Christian Uflacker, 3-0, 2 submissions, 5'11", 170 film fighter, 25 years old, BJJ practitioner. Recently picked up by Strikeforce and fought on the Fedor versus Rogers card where he defeated Jonatas Novaes. Watch out for this fighter in the near future, possibly on the Strikeforce Challengers card. Third guy from YouTube is mannypacquiaO, American. He's an American, doesn't make MMA videos, but check out his YouTube page. He wanted me to mention one fighter, Tyler Michaelis. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture on Michaelis and have limited information on him. 2 wins as a pro, 1 knockout, 1 submission. Apparently, he's 5-0 as an amateur. Trains at a Victory Athletics. He's a lightweight, 155-pounder. And I believe he's only 19 years old, but he hasn't. I can't find any information on him since 2007, so I'm not sure if he's fought recently, but a guy to listen for, Tyler Michaelis. And thanks again, Manny Pacquiao, for your pick. Next YouTube user, his name is DILLANB. He's a 23-year-old Canadian. Check out his YouTube page. He's mentioned quite a few names. The first guy is super heavyweight Ron Sparks, 5-0, 6'5", 285 pounds, 4 knockouts. He had an upcoming fight with former boxer Ray Mercer at a King of the Cage card, and unfortunately Mercer had to pull out after an undisclosed injury, but it would have been interesting to see that fight. You know, I probably would have picked Mercer in it. Sparks has some kickboxing in his background, but nonetheless he's not a marquee striker by any means. So Ron Sparks, stay tuned for more fights from him. The next guy I mentioned is Dave Herman. Herman is 6'5", 240 pounds, 16-1 as a professional, 13 knockouts, 3 submissions, 26 years old, F1 fight team, and I believe he recently signed with Shine. Possibly may fight Jeff Monson on an upcoming card. Of course, Shine is anybody looking for some interesting fights. Their first card's on May 15th. We have Dean Thomas facing former boxer Ricardo Mayorga. Should be an interesting first show. Herman is a type of fighter who belongs in a top level promotion for sure. He's fought in the defunct Elite XC, fought in Sengoku and Bellator. He's got wins over Jim York, Don Fry, Ron Waterman, Mario Rinaldi. His only loss was the Mubei Choi at Sengoku, which was kind of a surprise. Lots of potential, very big power. He's got a questionable gas tank, but nonetheless, I mean, you look at, say, the UFC, for example, their heavyweight division. You know, some of the fighters we've seen in that division come and go. Guys like Eddie Sanchez, even a guy like Justin McCulley. Or, you know, there's lots of guys there. If they're there, then Dave Herman can be there and can compete with the mid-level guys, no doubt. 3 other guys he mentioned. Ryan Jimo, who was previously mentioned by Harnish Incorporated, so we won't go into depth on him. Gunnar Nelson as well, an outstanding prospect. Check out Viewers Choice Volume 2. It's a fighter we already covered. And also Chad Corvin. Check in Ultimate Fighter Volume 1.